Good morning and welcome along to another Forever United TV live show, everybody. Get involved in the live chat. This morning I want to talk about the players that Manchester United are at risk of losing, players and possible greats of the future in our academy coming through but not getting the opportunity. And there's a wider scope on all of this, and I'll explain what I mean by it. Losing players from within Manchester United and losing players in the transfer market as well. We've seen this happen with others before, that people seem to have forgotten about and feel like everything is going to be okay. We have got issues at Manchester United with senior players. Really interesting look from what Troy Deeney was saying on TalkSport yesterday as well, regarding Manchester United senior players having a bad influence on some of the younger players coming through at United. I want to dig right into that, but it's not just about that. Look, I could have set up this whole video with the likes of Garnacho and Marcus Rashford on a thumbnail, but you know what everyone would have thought about that? They'd have thought, oh, it's just Adam going in again, same story about Marcus Rashford, blah-de-blah-de-blah. Well, it's not. There is a whole bigger picture that I have been concerned about and worried about for a long time, and you would have heard me talk about this on many shows before, but I want to pinpoint it and sort of deep dive into that right now and tell you the issues that I feel I have got and what I'm worried about with this Manchester United team right now, and how Ruben Amorim can change everything. And Inos have got massive influence on this and what they can do to stop this from happening and safeguard the future of Manchester United, because the most important thing is them academy lads coming through right now. And obviously the right recruitment in bringing in players elsewhere. I want to get into all of that, go through all of what's been said and written over the last couple of days, and why I feel like it is starting to bubbling up to a bit of a crescendo and a bit of an issue that really could cause us problems going forward. So I'm going to get into all of that. I want to talk about Harry Amass first of all, and the rumours about him being looked at by Aston Villa. By the way, I have got another special video coming out today just before lunchtime, probably around about 11 o'clock-ish today. I'll keep you posted on that one as well, but do go watch that one. That is a deep dive look into Manchester United's academy right now. Some interesting players within there and my opinions on them, so make sure you watch that later as well. Another video special on FUTV. But get into the live chat this morning as we go through this as well, everybody, because I want to get your opinions on the academy setup and the senior players and the issue that is clearly there at Manchester United that no one really wants to talk about. No one really wants to bring it up, but Harry Amass apparently is a target for Aston Villa at left back, and you would look at it from the outside and say, look, Harry Amass, 17, young prospect, played on the pre-season tour. We all know what he's made of. He's a brilliant left back. He has got the energy. He has got, I think, the physique, which was criticised by, not so much criticised, but used as a blocker, basically, for him coming into the first team. Not quite ready was the word under Ten Hag's regime. He's not physical enough and won't be risked or used. We'll see if that changes when Ruben Amorim comes in, because he could just completely back up Ten Hag's case when he comes in and say he isn't ready. But look, when you've got a player that's on the pre-season tour, when it's making appearances on the bench for Manchester United's first team squad and being in the matchday squad, you're expecting him to move along to that next sort of level. But there is a reason why other clubs are looking at the likes of Harry Amass, and you can see that quality. Like Manchester United under-18s are destroying everything in their path right now, and you would be stupid as another club not to be looking in to Manchester United's academy, checking out the contract situations with certain players. Look, United just did it with Chido Obi Martin. We know what can happen at academy level. You can steal players away and bring them in. We do it all the time. What do we bring in? Over here, we brought in Lascelles. We brought in Obi Martin, we brought in Kone. We brought these players in to our academy. It's not like we went and scouted them when they were like 14, 13 and then brought them in. No, we got them and we handpicked them to bring them to our academy. And that's what happens now. You look what we did with Alejandro Garnacho, for instance. 750 grand. We brought him in from Spain into our academy, and now he's seen as one of our own. This is what happens, and don't expect it not to happen the other way as well. So this is where United have to be careful, because when an academy player gets a sniff of first team action, I'm not saying that they should be expecting them to play first team football because of that. They've had a little bit of a taster and they want more. Obviously, the eagerness starts to creep into their game, doesn't it? And like they start to look at it and go, well, I've been there now at the top level. I want to stay there. And that's down to the coaching to make sure that they stay on that level playing field and don't get too ahead of themselves. But still, when you look at the situation that Manchester United have utilised in terms of bringing the best players in to their academy. Going the other way, I feel like this is what Aston Villa are looking at. But Aston Villa are probably looking, and other clubs are probably looking. Look, it's a story and a rumour right now, and it may not even have legs with it, but still, you have to look at it and take it seriously. And why? You could say that this is nonsense. You could say that there's no chance. There's always a pathway for someone like Amass. He's too good. He's too good not to make it into Manchester United's first team. United will definitely not sell him. Well, it just depends. It all depends on what's happening with the first team. And it depends what that manager and that coach has got there already. A prime example of this, and an example why Harry Amass is not safe at Manchester United, is Young Player of the Year Alvaro Fernandez. Then on loan, Young Player of the Year at Preston North End. Yes, again, a left-back, and seen as the next best thing. He's now proven that he is the next best thing at Benfica. But what was stopping him coming through at United? A manager that already had players in place that have been there for years and years and years, underperforming and just blocking the pathway for that academy player. So when you say Amass is safe, when you think that everything is good and well, you only have to get into the player's mindset and go, actually, Tyrell Malacia has just taken my place in a starting lineup in the FA Vase Trophy or whatever it was the other night against Huddersfield. He has just taken my place. That's a first team player dropping down into my under-21 level, taking my spot in the starting lineup so he can recover to go into that first team. Oh, yeah, and then he's behind Luke Shaw in that first team. I'm 17, going on 18 later on this into next year, and I'm probably expecting to start breaking through. But Malacia's still young. If Shaw's going to be there for a couple of years still, which is expected if he comes back, and then he don't make the big calls this summer, there's another 2 years. He's coming into 20. And then we're into the realm of Alvaro Fernandez territory again, where he's sent on loan, and someone might just say, look, we can't fit him in. He's going to have to go. We're going to have to sell him. There's never a dead cert. As good as they are in the academy, there's always something in the way in the first team. The blockers, as I called them, all of the time. You would have heard me say this numerous times. That's the problem you've got at Manchester United right now. Added to that, Manchester United looking at another left-back, Kirkes. Added to that, a change of system in Ruben Amorim, which is no issue at all, but you can only look at it from someone like Harry Amass's position and go, I've got Luke Shaw, I've got Tyrell Malacia, I've probably got Antony, I've probably got some of the midfielders, maybe Garnacho, maybe this is where Rashford fits in. How many first team players are we trying to squeeze in to this formation and make them work because we've spent so much money on them that are in the way of getting someone like Harry Amass through into this first team? This is the problem. They have to be absolutely outstanding to make it through. But not every single player develops that quickly. Not every single one of them will smash it at 17, 18 and go right in. There are players that have done that because they've been given a chance. And some teams lower down the pyramid actually have to promote more youth because they haven't got the funds to bring in the right type of players. Look, Luke Shaw all of a sudden is back into Manchester United's fold. And it's a good thing. It's a good thing to have a senior left-back back at the club when you're looking at a new manager coming in, a new system, and you're desperately looking to try and fill that void at left wing-back. You've got Tyrell Malacia, which is fantastic news that he's back as well. But them two players alone are going to stop Harry Amass getting anywhere near this first team. And that's for another season. Then we go on, then he turns 18. Are they going to move next year? That's when Inos come in. And the decision and the risk that Manchester United are running in bringing their academy players through at, what? Giving a first team player another chance, another year? This decision should have been made a long time ago. I'm not saying this is Malacia's fault. I'd happy for him to be at the football club. I would rather us have sold Luke Shaw by now and we bring in some of our youth academy players into the first team squad to work alongside the likes of Tyrell Malacia. But obviously, United are looking to we're looking to develop our youth players and bring them through. I just don't see it happening. That's the problem. I want it to, but it only happens with what we've said over the last few days. If Inos are brutal, Ruben Amorim is true to his word about making sure that the intensity is right and the only players in this squad that can handle it are the ones that are staying. This is where it all comes into focus, and I think is the bigger overall problem that we have to solve here at Manchester United, and that is cutting these first team players. you can look at players in every single position in this team that need to be gone, so we can advance younger players coming through or go and recruit the right type of players. I'd look at Harry Amass and I see an absolute talent. And just watch the video that I'm putting up later on today as well. And this puts it all into focus as to what could happen at Manchester United. That's coming up around about 11 o'clock today, everyone, just so you know. But yeah, that's how I'm looking at the situation right now. Whereas everything is positive and there are options there, we could easily fall into the same trap again come the summer. And this is looking at it from the other side. I wanted to look at it from like a Harry Amass side and a younger academy player, or even the younger players that are in the side right now and how they would see things moving forward with Manchester United. I think that's how we have to look at it, because if we don't, then we will have forgotten players again. We will have the Alvaro Fernandez, who is now proving that he is a fantastic player. And United could even go back in for him and spend more money when we had him there in the first place. But Ten Hag didn't want to risk him, didn't want to bring him through. Why? Because we had loads of left-backs. Oh my God, like the way that Manchester United was run, and it wasn't all Ten Hag's fault, obviously. The medical team and everything like that had a problem. That was a problem at United in bringing Alvaro back from Getafe to then sell him to Benfica when we needed a left-back ourselves, because the medical team actually ballsed up the fact that Malacia and Luke Shaw were never going to be fully fit for the rest of the season. We got all of that and we dealt with that at the time, and everybody was bemoaning it. So let's not make this happen, let this happen again. And looking at the bigger picture with everything right now, make the call in the summer, give these players this next, 6 months like we've said. But if they don't, then we're not going to see Amass. We're not going to see him come through. I just don't see how he makes it into this side if them players are still there, because they will always take priority, always. And it is down to Inos backing Ruben Amorim, because we know what's going to happen. We know that these players are not always going to be available. We know these players all of a sudden are not going to perform in one particular game or put in as much effort. It needs to be consistent and all of the time. And yes, he may get a tune out of these players and change a few minds, but it's always going to be there, isn't it, at the back of our minds, that these players are really lucky that they've survived again and they've got another chance. What is Luke Shaw's? What is it? Is his fifth chance now? Luke Shaw's with another manager? How many times are we going to give these players that second opportunity? That second crack at the whip? Do you know what I mean? It's getting to a point now where we have to actually pray that Ineos look at this and see it how everybody else is looking at it, coming in and looking in from the outside at Manchester United, because they're the ones that have got the clear opinion and know what's happening. We can always look at a player at United and be a fan and be red-tinted and think that they can turn it around. I do it with players myself. I'm not hiding away from this. But we need someone like Ineos to actually take that decision away from us, like they have done in recent times with the manager. Look, they've dealt with it. They've sacked Ten Hag. They brought in Van Nistelrooy. Should we keep Van Nistelrooy? No, he's gone as well. Ruben's in now. This is what's happening. All of the staff gone. Everyone gone. We can all talk about what's happened, but instead of talking about what might happen in the past, we've all been talking about the ifs and buts. They need to carry this mentality into this summer and be absolutely brutal with everyone at Manchester United. They've done it with every other member of staff. It's now time to be exactly the same way with Ruben Amorim and telling him, why is this player not playing? Right, he's gone. There's no other option for it. We have quality coming through the ranks. We need to start making space for these players and getting rid of these high-earning players that are just not doing it for us. It's time for change, and I feel like it is coming, and I'm really positive at the outlook of everything going forward, but still, I just worry that we're not going to see the best of what's coming through our academy. Not all of them make it. There's no guarantee. I know that. But we never know. We're never going to know because they never get a chance. They never get a chance. So, yes. In terms of, I can see the chat coming up now, who is going to buy these blockers? Well, this is the thing. You have to cut your cloth according. You have to sell them at a cheaper price. You cannot expect to be getting money for the likes of Luke Shaw. Honestly, if I am being realistic, I'm a manager looking into Manchester United, and I think I can take Luke Shaw. You've got to say Luke Shaw's market value is what? 5 to 10 million. Thank you, Luke. Bye. That's it. 5 to 10 million. Someone will pay that for Luke Shaw. They will. Do the same with Marcus Rashford. We're going to go through all of the players that we feel are at risk here if this method does come in and Inos are going to really change Manchester United. We'll talk about all of them in a minute, but I want to just get into your thoughts on my initial sort of opening there regarding how the system is failing these younger players at times as well, and obviously how we can rectify it. Let's get into the chat and see what everybody is saying. Gehan says, I think he is ready, but not every week. You have to ease him in. If he wasn't ready, Villa would not be looking. Villa knows he's right. That's why they are sniffing around. Look, so let's not forget, Harry Amass is just one of many. It's not just him. This could happen with any of our players right now. We've seen Toby Collier being thrown in by Ten Hag into the Liverpool game. Clearly not ready. Not ready for that environment. Not ready for that intensity of that game at that stage of a game as well. That was just ridiculous management and poor management, that one, in doing that to a young player. And I know it's an extreme circumstance, that one, and talking about that, them circumstances that was the Liverpool game, but it's a little example of what doing this the wrong way will do to these players and how much it can set them back. You have to bring them in right. Gehan is dead right. Bring them in gradually. A game here and there. The Europa League games. The Carabao Cup games that we could have. Just being on the bench and being a substitute when we're actually 2 or 3-0 up in a game. I know that's a rarity with Manchester United, but hopefully, and I'm looking ahead to this as well, I'm trying not to look too much in the past, that we are in a better place and we do start getting better performances and have an opportunity to blood some younger players into our team. Director of Football says, I think going forward, things are better than they were, Adam. If players are ready to fit the system, evidence from Amarin's previous, they'll get a go. It's true. Previously, not a chance, Bruno and Mainu. I mean, they didn't get a chance. Like I said, the prime example was Alvaro Fernandez when it came to the right player, but just not getting a chance because there was too many other players in there. And that's what we've got to be careful of. Do we go out and buy a Kirkez? Or have we already got these players at Manchester United? That's what you have to look at. How desperate are we to win things quickly? Very desperate. And that's another concern of mine. Ineos' push to win this Premier League within a certain amount of time. Are we going to be able to give these younger players the chance to come through and blood them in properly? Not just throw them and thrust them into the limelight and expect them to do something. Like, we were lucky with Garnacho and Kobbie Mainoo that they are absolute quality and have come through and have been that breath of fresh air and that saviour, really, for Manchester United. I feel like they have done. They have been the shining light for this football club throughout the last season and a half, by far. And that has been the one big positive. And it is always going to be our academy that is the positives coming through. Let's get into more of the chats. Amarin has yes for ballers. If you're good, he's keeping you. Well, that's good for the academy. And hopefully, yeah, that does work. But what if Rashford decides to turn up for a few months? Does that mean that he stays and then we get the one-off, one-on sort of Rashford again season-wise and we see it all the way out until the end of that 2028 contract and he survives another 3 years past this season and then goes for nothing? That's the worry that we've got. There is a time, and Ineos will have to look at players that do need to be cashed in on as well and selling players at the right time. This is actually a good thing. Amarin will take a good look at him now because of Villa. Shaw's situation is perfect for Harry. A new manager and new vision. Harry will get the chance. Shaw is done. We think Shaw is done, but Shaw might turn up. And like I said, Gehan, 6 months' time, Shaw may be fit going into pre-season, full pre-season. He trains. Then Luke Shaw is starting games the next season. Then Harry Amass is looking at his next 19th birthday then. And then a year on from that, and if Manchester United do invest like they say they are going to at left-back, and let's be honest, left-back has changed now. I think Harry Amass, personally, or just on that, fits the profile of a wing-back more than any other player that we've got at our club right now who is in that left-back position, personally. And obviously, the proof is in the pudding and in the eating, of course, which is him actually doing it for the first team consistently. He may crumble under the first team demands and expectation levels of Manchester United. We don't know. But you're never going to know until you try. And it means trying him properly. And that's a few games to integrate him in. Not just throwing him into one. Oh, didn't work. See, we tried. Sorry, see you later. No. It needs to be worked better, I feel. Sell short, there is absolutely no downside, waste of time and space. Will United start playing 3-4-3 all youth team squads? Well, that's how the structure works. So going off what has been said, yes is the answer to that, Director of Football. Manchester United's academy team will start playing exactly the same way as what the first team is playing, or how Amorim wants the first team to play. It will be integrated through all academy levels. It was being done with Erik ten Hag. Sadly, the under-18s got the grasp of it. The under-21s weren't too bad, but the first team couldn't grasp it. But yeah, that will be happening as well. Ghana was blocked for ages. Ditto was Gomez. Gomez, another player that could be coming back. Look, at Manchester United, the demands are higher, so there is that risk that players are not going to get given the opportunity because Manchester United need to be winning. It's not like, I have to take this into consideration as well, that smaller clubs will give younger players more time because they have the opportunity to. They don't have the funds and they don't have the demands, and there isn't as much expectation for them winning things. So youngsters can get blooded in a bit better. I understand that. And that is a big part of it as well. I don't want people to think that I'm not looking at that side of it and not being realistic, because I feel like I am. I am being realistic with what we're actually talking about, which is why I've talked about certain players like Alvaro and Harry Amass right now. If Villa want Amass, then he clearly has got what they need, and they're higher than us in the league right now. We have to look at it that way. Alvaro was hitting every single top level at every single stage of his career at the football club, i.e. in the under-21s, then on loan again. And Benfica couldn't say no. That's how good he was. And now he's proving it on the biggest stage in the Champions League. We just don't know. Look, you've got Garnachos and Mainus everywhere. They're at every single football club. They need the opportunity to shine. If they don't get it, then like I said, we just don't know. We just don't know. And it could be a wasted career. We've seen it happen many a times. Some people would even argue Paul Pogba at a stage, like, just give the kid a chance. I know. The situation is a little bit different, and it was a bit of a different time. But still, there's examples all the way down the line. I don't want to use Pogba as the ultimate example. But again, that's like what these younger players are looking at right now. And that's why I want to start looking at it from Harry Amass's angle and what he might be thinking, or his agent, or whoever might be thinking. Are we going to see this actually happen? Can we see these first team players being dropped out so we get a chance? You know, all of that comes in. Problem with Luke Shaw is he always wants to play for England. If he stayed with us, which I don't think he should, he would have had to quit England. Glenn C says, if Amorim makes the high volume of substitutions that people say, especially at wing-back, we should see more opportunities for players. We will see the rotation side of things as well. Yeah, that's a good point as well, Glenn. That rotation side of things could start to creep in as well. Hopefully it does. Al Mac there in the chat saying, let's bring Alvaro back. Erik ten Hag told Alvaro Fernandez to leave the club because he had no future. He is now playing Champions League football. Yep, that's the point I was trying to prove. Or a point I was making, sorry. But this goes into all aspects of Manchester United's team right now. It's not just about losing players and academy players through transfers. By the way, everybody, thank you for all the likes. Well over 100. Keep them coming in. Make sure you have subscribed to Forever United TV as well, everyone. Thank you so much. We're on the road to, 63k is our next target. Can we get that, please, by the end of November? Hopefully. I did have a target of hopefully getting to around about 70k before the end of the year. It's going to be tight. Let's see where we're at, though. Try and help out and support the channel by subscribing and get involved, everybody. Thank you. And more importantly, get your comments in. I was just touching then on transfers. Yes, we could lose players like Alvaro. The situation with teams coming in and looking at our academy players as well. But even the players that are in the side right now, and they're not so much. It's not so much blockers. It's their attitude of players. And there was been a piece on Talk Sport and Troy Deeney talking about Manchester United senior players' attitudes affecting the younger players. And he used Marcus Rashford as an example. Now, this is what I was saying at the top of the show. If I'd have put Garnacho and Rashford on a thumbnail, and everyone would have thought of him just going in on Rashford again. Let's give it a rest. No, oh, look, I have got my problems with Rashford like a lot of people do. And other people from the outside are looking in on this. Like Troy Deeney has said, what I'm thinking. Like, that attitude is going to filter down into other players. When Marcus Rashford shrugs his shoulders or throws his hands up in the air, Troy Deeney says, like he's got the whole world on them, other players like Garnacho are looking at that. And he used the example of Garnacho at weekends scoring an absolutely brilliant goal, top corner, off the bench, finishing the win against Leicester on a brilliant day for everybody at Old Trafford, and him not celebrating in front of the Stretford end. He just scored an absolute worldie in front of the Stretford end, and he didn't want to celebrate because he feels like some fans are getting on his back. Now, this happens all of the time, and obviously we've seen Marcus Rashford and his reactions to certain fans. This has happened on the pitch as well. And Troy Deeney's point was saying, look, when you see a senior player like Marcus Rashford doing it, of course the other players on the pitch are going to think that that's all right to do it as well. And let's be honest, negativity spreads twice as fast as positivity, especially when it comes to a pitch and you're playing in your team. You look at someone who's not giving a toss or not running as hard, and you're probably going to think, well, if he's not doing it, what's the point in me doing it? I'm just wasting my time here because he can't be asked. Well, you've got a positive person on the pitch and someone running around doing everything right, then obviously you're going to look at that and want to do a little bit more. But that negativity will filter through that team quicker than the positive side will. And again, this comes down to Ruben Amorim, what he can make of this team right now. Obviously, then it comes down to Inos at the next level and what they can do in terms of getting the right sort of attitude within this squad, getting rid of the bad attitude. And you look at what Manchester United are looking at right now. We have got brilliant forwards coming through our academy. We've got Garnacho already in there. We've got Ahmad, who we brought in years ago as a young lad as well. Obviously, he was a teenager when he came to Manchester United, was playing in United's under-21s as well, academy level. He is breaking through right now, and he just sits there and he's looking. And I said this again, I wanted to look from the players' side. So how do we feel the players are looking at this, at them senior players? If you're Amass, like we've just discussed, looking in, you would look at it and go, ooh, actually, it might be tough for me to break into this team. Obviously, it will focus their minds and they will try harder, and there is the positive of that. But you look at Ahmad. If you're an academy player coming through and you look at Ahmad's pathway into that first team, you would be concerned, wouldn't you? You would. Now you've got the likes of Anthony, Sancho, kicking up all worlds of stinks, Rashford and all his issues and everything like that, and they still play games. They're continuously playing games, you could argue the point with Sancho, just because he fell out with the manager, and obviously Anthony isn't getting as much game time now, but still, like Ahmad sat there watching all of these players get in ahead of him. You're going to be a little bit worried as a player coming through and coming up, aren't you? That you're not going to get given this chance. There is always that factor there. And I think that's what we have to look at as a bigger picture in all of this. Their attitudes when they do make it on the pitch with these players like Rashford and what Troy Deeney was saying, it does actually start making you think whether he has got what Troy Deeney used to say about the Arsenal team. Has he got the kahunas? Has he got the thick enough skin to be a footballer? Because the criticism is only going to get worse. And I'm not having a go at Garnacho here, but everyone's starting to pick up on little things and look in at United again and see little cracks appearing. It can be completely sorted and the issue be cut off at the head straight away. You have to start dropping the big name players. And that is going to be crucial for anyone's development at Manchester United. Look what Arteta did with Aubameyang, the captain, the leading goal scorer, the maestro, you could say. And out, gone. I need this player gone so I can start rebuilding this team the way I need it to be. And bit by bit, yes, he's got to a level now where he's plateaued, but he has come up against Pep Guardiola. And unfortunately, if you have got someone like that, for instance, it's like Andy Murray was doing all of the right things, but he was coming up against Nadal, Djokovic and Federer. Jurgen Klopp will say the same thing about Liverpool. They should have won more, but Pep was there. Arteta should have won titles now, but Pep was there. It's just unfortunate that you have got the best of the best and everything that Manchester City are in the way right now. But he needed to get rid of a certain player just to make a point and prove that it isn't about the ego. It isn't about the ego plays. It isn't about the goals. It isn't about what they've done before. It's about what works for us in our system now. I think that's the bigger thing that you've got to look at. And I look at that and say, that's where United are probably at right now. Some big calls need to be made with these senior players. And I think they are affecting the younger players. I'm not saying all of them. There are some outstanding pros at this football club. I call in Christian Eriksen, Casemiro. I think Bruno Fernandes' attitude is exemplary. Yes, you could talk about the petulance and his issues on the pitch and bring that up into another debate. But when it comes to commitment, you cannot argue with these players. You cannot even question their commitment to Manchester United. You look at what's happened to Casemiro and Eriksen and their time over the last 3 years at Manchester United. The ups, the downs, the forgotten player. The legs have gone of Casemiro. Eriksen is too slow. Two of our best players this season, and two of our best players currently right now, are Eriksen and Casemiro. They're the outstanding pros. And then you've got other players. Let's not even go into names because everyone will think I'm just doing a witch hunt completely, but it's not. But you see the example that I'm making, and that is what Manchester United are up against right now. That's what Inos have to deal with. That's what Ruben Amorim has to help in dealing with. And ultimately, until that's sorted, we are still going to be stuck at this sort of level. You're right, Adam. Fully agree with you. Thank you, Nigel. David says, this is why you should not put these young players into an underachieving team like this team. Like this team is, David. Well, if they're underperforming, this is the season when they need to go. Yes, I've said this before. I don't want these younger players coming through into this team right now. Look what happened to Kobbie Mainoo. Sorry, not Kobbie Mainoo. What happened to Collier? Toby Collier. Do you know what I mean? That situation I don't want to happen. It's not fair on them. Until the senior players are sorted, these young players are always going to suffer and not get the right opportunities and not get the right role models on the pitch and guidance, I don't think. There are players there that I would put these young players in with every day of the week. I've just said it then. The likes of Casemiro, Bruno and Eriksen, I haven't got a problem with it at all. I think they are exemplary in how they are committed to the cause. There are others, though, that have just got away with it for years. And we are starting to see them fizzled out. And you know the players that we're talking about. There are still a few more that need to be sorted. And we all know who they are. If youngsters get taken, okay, as long as we've got the first option on buyback clauses. Ineos may look at the youngsters in the academy and look at it as a chance to making money as well, and the 100% profit in balancing books. Look, they are a business and they are streamlining United. We don't know. This could be the way it's being looked at as well, but it is ultimately still coming down into the same conversation, which is it is a bit of a worry for some of our academy players and how they might be looking at things going forward in terms of their opportunities and getting a chance in Manchester United's first team. I have to cut the video there because I have the school run to do. Reality in my world, I'm afraid. But yes, needs must, everybody. So thank you so much for joining us on the live show. Like I said, I have got more content, a special video coming out around about 11 o'clock today. So make sure that you tune into that one, everyone. It is a special on the academy. You do want to watch it, trust me. And I will be back later on this evening as well. I am probably going to be doing the England watch along later on as well for anyone who wants to come and have a chat on there. Cheers for all the likes. Thank you for everybody and all your comments. Absolutely love that. And I will be back later on. Have a fantastic day. Like, share and subscribe to Forever United TV. Have a good one, people.